everybody, welcome to BrickVault. Today in front of us I get to show you guys an amazing custom Lego model build. This is the police car from Fifth Element. From the designer David Duperron. You can get the instructions at our web store, www.brickvault.toys. Included with each purchase is the PDF step-by-step building guide, as well as a digital parts list, which makes it a lot easier for buying the pieces that you would need for this thing online. Getting instructions is an excellent way to help support what we do here at the channel, and if it wasn't for the help and enthusiasm of you guys, a lot of these models and their subsequent building instructions just wouldn't be a reality. David Duperron is an excellent model designer. I highly recommend you click the link in the description below, or if you want, you can share, like, subscribe, comment, do whatever you want to do. Let's jump in to the details. First things first, yes, there is the taxi that already exists from the same designer. I'll show both of these cars off together at the end, but for now, let's just focus on the police car. When it comes to its measurements, it's 12.5 inches long, 32 centimeters, 6.5 inches wide while on the stand, so that's 16 centimeters, and 9 inches tall on the stand, or 23 centimeters. Off the stand, it's 5.5 inches wide and 6 inches high. Now it's time to take a nice close look at the model. This is really where the details shine. You can see the macaroni pieces that make up the front round bumper, and above there is inlay for several different lights, not just the headlights, but a few other emergency ones that just the police would have, and the entire shape of this model is rounded over quite well. This is achieved by using a lot of the much longer sloped bricks, and the studs for those parts have been oriented for the top, sides, and bottom, so the round bubble-like style from the Fifth Element movie is captured pretty darn well in this larger upscaled version of the model. At the very bottom of the bumper, it's actually below the bumper, you can see this little bit of a groove is kind of cut out there. There's a couple of textured bricks that give somewhat of a grille detail under there, and a few little 1x1 round studs. That detailing matches up accurately with how this model looks from the film, and that's just an example of how deep David goes when he puts together a creation. Now when we swing towards the back, you can see once again very rounded over. My personal favorite bits from this area is the way he captured that, once again, sort of rounded over bubbled out metal shape from the dark bluish gray bricks. The two thrusters kind of punch out between the layers, and it really makes this model still feel very smooth. Once again, a little bit higher up, you can see some red inlaid back lights, and the back of this car has a little bit of a fin that kind of sticks out, and pulling back a little bit, you can see that it looks pretty flat, but as a whole, the whole back of the car is quite rounded over. Now when it comes to some more details on the side, you can see that this car is pretty well armored. It's very thick. There's hardly any windows really. There you can see one of the custom printed stickers, NYPD in white lettering. It's pretty basic, but accurate to the relative size, shape, and font that it needs to be. David developed those details on his own, and if you were to get the instructions, the PDF to print those stickers out is available. There's not too many in this set. It basically has the NYPD detailing on the side and the police lettering on the front, which is a little bit more stylistic. There's also one more print on the inside, but you'll see that later. When it comes to the hood detailing though, you can see a similar kind of shape that mimics that classic 1940s, 1950s car style that is so incredibly prevalent in the Fifth Element New York scene. And I like that David managed to make it very recognizable, yet not copy stylistically anything from the taxi model. That really is a totally different build design. The detailing for the windscreen in the front shows some of those flat silver grille pieces, and that's totally accurate to how the model looks in the movie, and the only real question here is how did the police officers see out the front? My guess is if you're flying through a dense cityscape, a lot of your driving is relatively automatic, or at least a computer's helping you navigate pretty consistently, so maybe seeing out the front isn't actually as important as you might think. Anyways, I still think it's a great looking bit of detailing, and now let's look up at those big vibrant police lights at the top. These too have sort of an old-timey, almost cartoony feeling behind them. The lights are very big and rounded over. They're extremely distinctive from afar, and they do honestly remind me of how police car lights back in the 1940s and 50s really were much larger cone-shaped things. I think David's detailing behind this structure really captures those large, round, kind of obtuse shapes. And then I've been avoiding talking about this the whole time, but yes, my personal favorite detail on this particular model is the inclusion of the McDonald's tray that's sticking out the side. Because this model is canted most of the time, at least I prefer to keep it canted on the stand, this tray is actually on a little bit of a hinge joint, or a couple of different hinge pieces, so you can still keep the McDonald's perfectly level as you chase after bad guys through the cityscape. Technically that doesn't happen in the movie, but I like to think that the police have that function installed into their ships, because you can kind of clearly see what their priorities are when you watch the movie.
Whoa.
The builds for the food itself don't actually stud in. It's on a little panel piece, almost like a window piece that's molded in black. And there's those tiny little ridge lines on the side that still keep them in place even though they're not studded in. All right, that's just about it for the external details on the model. Now it is time to take off the roof and we can check out the fully fleshed out interior. The roof has been designed to pop off quite easily, and inside there is space for 2 seats, a full control console, and personally I like that graded tile floor because it really makes the black seats pop quite well. The best bit of detailing though really is the whole front control area. David made sure to use a lot of different printed pieces to just kind of illustrate the technical components in the front, and the one green tile that you can see with a little mini figurehead added on there is a detail that he designed himself, and we actually printed it out and put it on the little gray tile. Adds a little personal touch. I think this is when they're doing a background check to Corbin Dallas's taxi and they're like, oh, he's got it jammed, that means he's a car thief, and then they decide to start shooting at him. The build for the seats though have an excellent grouping of slope pieces and little cheese wedge pieces along the sides, and in the back you can see what I think is either a baton or possibly a pistol piece, and also handcuffs. I probably don't have to tell you this, but if you want to have this thing displayed without the McDonald's sitting out the side, you of course can take it off. The quickest way is just to pop the tray out, and you can see the one little black clip piece that's still studded in, or for a slightly cleaner look you can lift it up by the next piece that's connected further inside the build, and then both sides are pretty much perfectly symmetrical. The roof fits on with relative ease, and now it's time to show you guys what this thing looks like from the bottom. Just like the taxi, David has decided to include some wonderful elements along the whole belly of this thing, and because the stand is canted, you really can get a pretty good look at it if you have this thing at eye level. There is that one little square that's kind of in the center, and that's where of course the stand actually sticks in. There's no studding into the bottom of this thing, but instead the point for that single stand just kind of skewers the model and it rests on there without any wiggle room. This is the closer look at the stand. It has the ability to bend forward and back, so it's canted or sticking straight up, and in all honesty, it's a little sensitive when it sticks up. When you wiggle the table a little bit too much, sometimes it has the tendency to fall back towards the canted position. Personally, I think it looks way better while it's on its side, but anyways, that's just an FYI. Now let's get into the handling section of this model. It is by all accounts primarily built to be a display model, but that doesn't mean that it has to be delicate. Fortunately, the shape of the police car makes it pretty easy for it to both look great and also be incredibly strong. Even though the roof is made to be detachable, it's still strong enough where you can hold it up by one hand. The back fin has posability. The top lights are just held on by one stud, and you can see a little bit of the hinge pieces move around on the side by the windows, but everything here is pretty much rock solid. I'm happy to say that this is one of the more casual models to handle within the collection. That front bumper can, you know, bend a little bit. You can bend it out of place on accident. I think I did a couple of times throughout the video. None of the detailing on the bottom when you flip it over scrapes away or has any kind of delicacy associated with it. Sometimes models that are detailed on the bottom look great, and then you grab them and something pops off the bottom and you don't know where it went. That's definitely not the case for this police car here. So anyways, the long and short of it is this is a pretty easy model to handle. Finally, here's some shots of the taxi and police car together. If you wanted to get these two as a set, you can do that as well. And when you look at them side by side, the stand for the police car is a little bit higher, but it also has the ability to cant from side to side. These two models have been a lot of fun to build. I think they look excellent in our display stands, mostly because of those wonderful vibrant colors. They definitely stick out compared to other sci-fi models. And if you haven't seen the movie yet, just watch the movie. I'm assuming if you've watched this video to this late, you've probably seen it, but if you haven't, go watch Fifth Element. And if you enjoy enjoy our content or want to get the instructions, remember, links are in the description below. I highly recommend you check them out. And thank you so much for watching, everybody. If you enjoy our content, feel free to like, subscribe, comment, do what you want to do, and we'll see you next time at BrickVault.